Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric and I am the Fraudiophile, and on this channel we talk about records, we talk about stereo equipment, music, and everything else in between. Today I want to kick off a new series called The Bands That I Love, and today is going to be about the Hold Steady, which is absolutely one of my favorite bands of all time, not only for their recorded material, but for their live shows as well. So in this series, talk a little bit about the band themselves, talk about their music, and then talk about my 5 or so favorite records from each of these bands. So yeah, let's get started with the Hold Steady. So the Hold Steady was formed in 2003 in Brooklyn, New York. The lead singer is Craig Finn, who actually grew up in Minnesota and in the Minneapolis area and used to play in a band called Lifter Puller. The bass player of that band was a guy by the name of Tad Kubler, who also ended up in Brooklyn as well. So in 2003, in Craig's words, in one of his songs, I got bored and I didn't have a band, so I started a band, man. They started up the Hold Steady. And the Hold Steady is an old school, I would call them an old school bar band. If you like big, heavy guitar riffs, if you like hearing people sing about drinking and drugs and just having a good time, this is the band for you. I can tell you the first time I had heard the Hold Steady, I had heard of them over the years, especially growing up here in Minnesota. But I was listening to a radio station out of Minneapolis called The Current, which is a fantastic public radio station. They played a song called My Little Hood Rat Friend. And when I heard this song right away, I was like, whoa, what is this? I have to know more. This was probably 2010-ish, somewhere in that range. I actually got a really late start on the band. Like I said, they started in 2003. First album came out in 2004. So definitely late to the party, but as soon as I heard that song, I dove into their catalog, absolutely fell in love with the band, and I've seen them many, many times in person since. So yeah, to break down the band again, like I said, Craig Finn is the lead singer. Tad Kubler writes most of the music and is the lead guitar player. Craig actually writes all of the lyrics, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the video. Other original members that have been with the band the whole time: Gavin Polivka on bass, and then Bobby Drake on drums. Bobby also has a ton of family from the Minneapolis area. The band has had some movement over the years. Franz Nicolay joined the band, left, and subsequently has returned on piano and keyboards. And then Steve Selvage joined the band. He had played with Lucero, joined the band in 2014 to give them an extra guitar, both in the recording, and really has made their live sound much bigger as well. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this band today, and as you can see, I'm wearing one of my Hold Steady shirts here, ripping off the Minnesota Twins logo, is that the 20th anniversary of Separation Sunday is this year, and the band is playing at First Avenue in Minneapolis. They're doing a 4-night set. They're going to play the first night at the 7th Street entry, which is a very tiny kind of a side stage of First Avenue. Then they're playing the main room both Friday and Saturday, and then they're doing a kind of an acoustic set, songwriter talking thing at the Fine Line on that Sunday. So a 4-day set. I've got tickets to go see them on Friday night and couldn't be more excited. So let's talk about some of their records, talk a little bit more about the band themselves. So 2014, I'm going to work backwards here with my top 5 favorite records of theirs. So 2014, they came out with the album Teeth Dreams. So this one was a little bit different. This was the first album that actually had Steve Selvage on it. He wrote some of the music along with Tad Kubler for this. And the other thing with Teeth Dreams is Craig Finn. One of the things you'll notice if you've ever listened to the band or start listening to them after this, is far from being your traditional rock singer. It does a lot of what I would call kind of talk singing, but as he moved into Teeth Dreams and subsequently with their newer album since here, it's actually more what I would consider real singing. I know Craig went out and got voice lessons, and you can definitely hear the difference from the first album to an album like Teeth Dreams. So a few songs really stand out on this album for me. Spinners is a great song. Love the guitars on it. The Ambassador, just the storytelling, and that's a huge part of the Hold Steady, is how Craig Finn can take in 4 minutes and completely paint a picture with all of his songs. Very similar to like Jason Isbell, how he does it, John Prine, John Darnell from the Mountain Goats. Very few singers or songwriters can truly paint that full picture in 4 minutes, and Craig does a fabulous job of it. So I'd say Spinners, The Ambassador, and then the last song off of here would have to be my favorite, the song called Oaks, just for the guitar work from Craig, or I'm sorry, from Tad and from Steve on this. Kind of very different from any of their other songs. You know, it's some singing at the beginning and then ends with a big instrumental outro with the guitars. Again, big guitar riffs. Fantastic album. Let's go back to 2008. The album Stay Positive. One of my favorite things about this band is their commitment to positivity. Like when you go to one of their shows, one of the things Craig says every single show is there is so much joy in what we do up here. And then every, social media message, every email that gets sent out always ends with the phrase "stay positive." And it's just a great way to kind of live your life. I consider myself a pretty positive person, and I think I actually get a lot of that from this band and from the whole study. So this is "Stay Positive," came out in 2008. Probably my favorite song off of this, would be "Constructive Summer" is one of my favorites. "Lord, I'm Discouraged" actually gets away from some of those big riffs and is actually kind of a slow song talking about, Craig paints the picture of this neighbor who's abused and how he wants to help her. But my favorite song on here has to be "Sequestered in Memphis." Just a great, pure rock and roll song, big guitar riffs, sing-along chorus, which is really what I like the most about the Hold Steady is not only Craig's storytelling, but those big guitar riffs. You can sing along with so many of these songs, and that's what makes their live shows so fun. 2006 was a little bit of a different time for the band, kind of going through a transition. It's when they came out with the album Boys and Girls in America. This is when they brought Franz Nicolay into the band full time. He had done some work with them on their first, or definitely their second album, Separation Sunday. But became a full-time member of the band here, and you can really tell the difference. A lot more keyboards, a lot more piano, actually slowing down a few songs on here as well, driven by Franz's keyboard playing and his background vocals. So absolutely love this album. The next, including this one, the top three I'm going to show you really could switch from day to day for me. What is my favorite Hold Steady album? These top three are definitely interchangeable. Boys and Girls in America, favorite songs on here would be First Night, which gets to the keyboard playing and really is a song that transitions from kind of fast to start to slows down at the end and has a wonderful crescendo. Chips Ahoy, song about a boy, a girl, and a horse being named Chips Ahoy. And then I think my favorite song off of this is Stuck Between Stations. The songwriting is phenomenal. If you're going to listen to one Hold Steady song that kind of has the ethos of their entire catalog, I would say it's Stuck Between Stations. It's the way Craig sings about Minnesota. One of my favorite lines all time in this song. He loved the Golden Gophers, but he hated all the drawn out winters. But the big guitar riffs, the storytelling doesn't get a whole lot better than this. This is the album that actually got me fired up to do this video, and this is Separation Sunday. Separation Sunday is having its 20th anniversary. Like I mentioned, they're doing a big 4-night stand up in Minneapolis for this. This is pretty much a concept album about Catholicism. Craig Finn was born and raised in the Catholic Church. And his cynicism towards the Catholic Church, as well as his faith, you can hear it in this album. So it's a very big dichotomy about what works, what doesn't when it comes to religion, and I love Craig Finn's take on that. This album introduces a lot of these characters that are reoccurring throughout the Hold Steady catalog. The biggest of which is her name is Hallelujah, but the kids they call her Holly. Charlemagne, Gideon, a bunch of characters that follow throughout the entire path of the Hold Steady's catalog. And standout tracks on this one for me would be How a Resurrection Really Feels, which is the final song in the track, and it really ties everything together with this. Stevie Nicks, N-I-X, is a fantastic one. And then the first song I mentioned in this video is Your Little Hood Rat Friend, and it's awesome. Give that one a listen. One of my favorite things about this band, like I mentioned, is when they perform live, they always do an extended version of Your Little Hood Rat Friend. Craig talks about the area of where he's at, talks about the band, talks about just how much joy there is in what they do and how that translates across to everybody in the crowd. The other thing I want to say about their live shows is the first show my wife and I went to post-COVID was seeing the Hold Steady at First Avenue. And honestly, it was like a religious experience, like all of that pent up time for a year and a half. It was November of 2021. So, nearly 2 years of being locked down, not being able to go out to concerts. And we just absolutely had the time of our lives at that show, just let loose of a year and a half of frustration. People throwing confetti in the air at the end of the show, just all of the joy of everybody that was there. It's definitely a night I'll never forget, and hopefully can recreate that night at another future show. And last but not least, my favorite album is the debut album. This is The Hold Steady Almost Killed Me. The first song on this is really kind of setting the stage of what the band's about how we're going to start with a positive jam, talking about trip through time from the entire 20th century, talking about history, but then just tears into fantastic guitar riffs. If you want the big bar band riffs, this is your album you need to listen to. So I will say my favorite songs on this would be Certain Songs. Most people are DJs. The Swish, which has some of my favorite lines, including the last line in the song, which is, did a couple of favors for these guys who look like Tusken Raiders. And then the last song on here is Killer Parties, talking about how Killer Parties almost killed me. And the great line, if she said we partied, then I'm pretty sure we partied. Just a great album. What a wonderful way for a band to start their career. So that's the Hold Steady. It is definitely one of my all-time favorite bands. Love seeing them live, listen to their music all the time. Definitely check them out. If you have any questions about the band or where you should start, suggested playlists, anything like that, go ahead and put that in the comments. I will link to some of the YouTube videos of some of their best songs as well. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel. We'll hopefully have some more videos coming out of bands that I love, and hopefully being a little more consistent here in 2025 of putting videos out more often. Thanks for watching.